It's tremendous. Now, these people have found a kind of immortality, and we're going to be talking now with a lady who gives you permanent immortality. She can make a bust of you and keep you forever in bronze if you so choose. She is a sculptor. She is also a lady, I think one might say she walks in beauty like the night. She is beautiful to look at, but more important, she has a very serene soul. She has not had a serene life, and we're going to be talking about that with Mehri Danielpour. Welcome, Mehri. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Marion.
Aren't they wonderful, these senior citizens? I think they're just fantastic. You prefer to be called a sculptor rather than a sculptress. Why?
Well, I don't know. I think sometimes I've found out that when people have tried to commission me for certain work, when they find out I'm a woman, they kind of think about it a little bit.
Really?
Yes.
You've run into discrimination
several times. Yes.
I want to talk first about your work, and then I want to talk about your personal experiences, because I think they're very important to anyone that may be dealing with illness in their family. But first, let's talk about the tremendous success that you have had with your work. You have brought with you a number of very beautiful sculptures, and perhaps rather than talk about them, we just show one or two of them first. What is this first bust that you have? They're very different styles.
Yes, I brought you three different things to look at. The first one is a small sculpture that was done for the Shah and the Empress of Iran. It was a commemorative piece that was given to all the visiting heads of state that came to a function they had about 10 years ago. And
Who is it?
This is the Empress of Iran, Farah Pahlavi, and this is the original, and there were duplicates made in silver.
How is it that you have the original?
I kept the original.
You wanted to keep it, and then get the others in silver to be given out.
They got the mold, and then the others were done from the original mold.
And the next piece?
And the next piece is a new series that I've done, and it's a it was inspired by Marcel Marceau, and they're a series of 4. Actually, we have one here. I think we have a few slides to show you, possibly one or two of the others. I'm not sure whether we have those slides. But this one is the Tug of War that I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yes.
And this is also in bronze. It's done in a 3-tone patina.
Did that fascinate you, the sense of motion without the props?
Very much so. As you know, Marcel Marceau was here about a year and a half ago at the Four Arts, and when I saw him, I just had to get home and get busy.
Yes, I talked with him a lot then. He was wonderful.
Yes.
And the next piece?
The next piece is also a new series of high-polished, very contemporary pieces I'm doing, and this and the rest of the group can also be done in very large architectural size.
It looks very architectural. Now, the style seems to have changed very much through those 3 pieces. Have you changed your style, or have you always liked to experiment with different?
Well, I'm doing a lot of this new style now. It's very exciting. The portraits I always do, and the realistic pieces are really my love. But I think one gets kind of tired with just doing portrait work or very realistic work, and I find it very exciting.
Yes, I can imagine. So you have brought this beautiful work of the Empress of Iran, and I know that you did work for the Shah, and you went to Iran.
Yes.
That it's an experience we all dream of, and it's one that no longer is possible, of course. Could you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, this was over 10 years ago, and as you know, I was born in Iran, so it was doubly exciting for me to be asked to go back. Of course, I was very young when my parents and my family came to the States, but having married an Iranian, I was very, very excited to go back and meet the Shah. And initially I had done Her Majesty's full-size bust, and the following year went back and was asked by His Majesty to go back and do his portrait bust. And it was a very, very exciting experience, as you can well imagine.
Was he very demanding?
He was so charming, that very, very gracious and very charming socially, and he was only supposed to have originally given me 1 sitting, and the rest I would have done from photographs, but with the coaxing of his wife we had 3 sittings.
Were you not trembling? Because with a figure like that, Were you not tempted to make him more beautiful, which would take away the character? Or, that's a choice you often have, isn't it?
Well, you know what I ended up doing without even being aware of it? I made his portrait bust twice life-size. And then I realized what a good thing that I did, because all the rooms in the palace were so huge, you know, and if I had done it just life-size, I think it would have looked...
You know, that's remarkable you say that, because people who had met him said that he gave the impression of being an enormous man.
Yes,
he had such
amazing
power.
man. Amazing.
Yes. When you're doing the Shah of Iran, or especially the Empress, who is such a beauty,
Yes.
and you come across a wart, are you not tempted to take it out? Do you take it out?
Well, you take out what's not really necessary.
Do you?
You do that with anyone, because as long as that's one of the very basics in sculpture, that you eliminate all that's unnecessary as long as you capture the person and you know, get the resemblance and the feelings and the soul.
The feeling of it more
Yes.
than anything else.
So there's a lot that you put in and there's a lot that you eliminate.
Was the
And
palace
it's,
gorgeous?
Absolutely beautiful.
You must have noticed all the works of art and beautiful things. in it.
Yes. One thing I specifically remember, the very first time I was in the palace, I was waiting in the grand ballroom and someone brought me tea, as they always do, whether you're in a little shop or whether you're in the palace, tea is brought to you. And I was just looking around and there was the most magnificent carpet that was the largest I've ever seen in my life. And that was really...
Well, where else would you find a Persian carpet? That's tremendous. When you see people, you have pictures of it, excuse me.
Yes, there's one photograph of,
I don't know if we can get it on the camera.
There
But now that's a prime example of what I wanted to ask you. When you look at a face, so many people will go and have some kind of plastic surgery done to themselves, or when they want a portrait, they say, make my nose smaller or make my eyes bigger. And don't you feel that that sometimes can destroy the character of a face?
If it's done very subtly, you
Yes.
can hardly even notice it, and the resemblance is there.
But you think it can be done, it can be made more beautiful, but very
I do it
subtle.
all the time.
You do? You
Yes.
do? Oh, well,
And the
that's
people
good news.
don't even know, because it's amazing. I think most people see themselves just a little more beautiful than they really are anyway.
Yeah, they
So
sort of
you
go
have
over
to
the
use a
flaws.
little psychology, and
Yeah.
it's, when you talk to them, and they usually do open up very beautifully, and you really find out how they see themselves, then you try to put in...
You look for
Yeah,
that,
yes,
what is inside
yes,
of them.
yes, very
Mary,
nice.
one of the things that always impressed me was the enormous serenity that you spread around you. And
Oh,
I know
thank
that you
you.
lived with a tragedy that we all dream of in horror. It's a nightmare for us. You married one of the most attractive men in the world, I think. He had everything to offer. He was beautiful to look at and had a beautiful mind. And he was stricken with a fatal, gradually fatal disease.
Yes.
Which was?
Multiple sclerosis. Yes.
Yet you lived with that, and I saw you in beauty. You were
Thank you.
always cheerful, and he adored you. You talked to me once about that, and I wish you'd repeat what you said.
Well, all I can tell you is that to me he still is the most incredible man I've ever met. And I was so fortunate to have known him and had him for my husband the years that I did. I just have nothing but incredible memories of him. Really.
He bore his disease with marvelous
Oh, he was so
fortitude.
gracious. He loved people, and he put everyone at ease about his illness, which
Yes,
was just amazing to see.
Yes. And you said, he said to you once that the years after his illness had been the most beautiful.
Yes, he once told me that. He said that the happiest years of his life were after he had multiple sclerosis.
I think that's something that gives us all courage.
Yes,
and
really.
when you speak about it, he is dead now, but I think you carry on even now so beautifully, Mary.
Thank you.
What project are you working on now?
Well, I'm starting another portrait bust this coming week. And then I'm starting to do a series, a very interesting series, which maybe later on someday I can show you. It's a dance series inspired by Martha Graham.
Oh,
So
tremendous.
that should be very,
Will you
very
go to
nice.
New York? For
No,
this?
I'm doing the pieces here, and possibly Saks Fifth Avenue in Fort Lauderdale may have an exhibit for me for that. So
Ah.
that should be fun.
Well, we'll have you back then, because Saks
Great.
is now participating in our
Beautiful.
show. What is the ideal beauty for you? If you had to pick a woman in the world,
Oh, that's so difficult. My goodness. You know, it's so interesting. When one does sculpture, I think you sometimes meet elderly people who are so magnificent.
As we just had.
Yes, and you realize, especially in my work, when you're working so closely with physical aspects of and features of the face, that when you have an extremely young, beautiful, as we know beauty, it really isn't as exciting as someone who has aged graciously.
That's very encouraging.
Really, it is something, I mean, I'm always inspired when I
the
work
face
with
you have until you're 21,
Yes.
God gave you, and after
Yes.
that you carve your own.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing some of
Thank
your
you.
experiences, Mary, and we'll all look for your sculptures around town. Where are they going to be? Where can one see them?
Well, I have a large piece of sculpture on the public library grounds in West Palm Beach on
Good.
Flagler Drive.
Okay, well, we'll go and see them.
Good.
I
Thank
want to thank you all for being with us, and I hope you have enjoyed the show today. I hope you'll enjoy next week's show, too, so come back. Much love, Ariane.